What's going on, everyone? John Matrix here with another Hunt Showdown video for you guys. So that I've put the test update 3.0 on the test servers, and they've got the patch notes out. I'm just going to try to go through these as quickly as I can here because there's a lot of information on this. I want to try to condense this down as quickly as possible. I'm just going to go over the main points here. But this patch is up on the test server now, so if you own Hunt Showdown, you should have the test server in your Steam library. You just got to find it, download it, and hop on and try out the new changes. So overall highlights, skill-based matchmaking. For this update, we're introducing a skill-based matchmaking system. The new system is inspired by the ELO system used in chess. Heavily weighs player versus player skill and populating matches to create a fairer experience. So they're going to have an MMR system now in the game, and it's all based on PvP. It has nothing to do with how often you've killed the bosses and extracted and how many bounties you've collected and all that stuff. It has only PvP-based skill. They did mention in the dev stream that this might increase the queue times a little bit, so it might take a little bit longer for you to get into games, but you're going to have games with people at your skill level, so they're more balanced. Movement inertia. So they got the 80-80, the first pass of the 80-80 fix is in the game now. We're introducing a new movement system that adds acceleration and deceleration of the core movement of the hunters. This system will stop players from using the 80-80 buttons to dodge bullets and melee attacks. So they've got that in the game. Anti-teaming. To prevent pre-lobby teaming, we've made various changes to the way that we group players in sessions. Feature will not be active frequently on the test server due to player count. So they talked about this in the dev stream. They're going to add an algorithm into the game so that people can't consistently get into the same game with each other over and over and over again. So that'll that'll help cut down on teaming anyway, and it can also help cut down on stream sniping, so that people who are streaming, they don't get people hunting them time. Pretty big deal in this game. Weapon looting. So the first looting system they've got into the game. When getting down or killed, hunters now drop their weapons on the ground. Other players can either pick up the dropped weapons or exchange them with the currently equipped ones. Any looted weapons extracted from the missions are marked as contraband and cannot be sold for money in the store. So the contraband system is going to be in the game along with the first iteration of their weapon looting.
Obviously, that guy happened to have on his, a nitro or an aftermath, right?
So the way this works is we allow you to pick up the main weapons only. So there's no picking up of explosives, no picking up of tools, anything like that. You can't fully loot the body. But every time a player goes down, he will also drop on the ground the weapons, the 2 weapons or up to 2 weapons he's carrying. And they will be pickable. Now, you might wonder, what does it mean if you get revived? So, let me just pause it there. No.
Yeah.
Just like somewhere we see the prompt. Give me a second. So, what could it mean if you get downed and your weapons are like laying on the ground? So, I mean, it would be kind of frustrating if you had to pick them up again. So, obviously, if you get revived, your weapons just spawn back into your hands. Yeah. Now, what can happen is that someone is stealing your aftermath, as happened in this demo. Now, if you get revived by a partner, let's assume the guy isn't being burned. Maybe he kills the guy while he's looting. Mm-hmm. As the partner gets revived, he will now be revived with a new weapon, the weapon that has been swapped. So in this case, he would be now the proud new owner of a Vetterli.
Yeah.
What is also something to consider with the system is that, as you know from the meta, as you equip your hunters, we have different slot categories. Like we have the large slot for the longer rifles, we have medium for like the sawn-offs, and we have the small slot for like the machete or the pistols. Now that is obviously a slight dilemma, how you visualize that, how you make sure that people can decide what weapons to pick up. Because if you run around with 2 medium-sized weapons and you want to pick up a rifle, unless you have Quartermaster, it will mean that you drop both of those weapons in order to pick up the new one. Yeah. So the interface, the prompt that you see here, just for the one weapon, would obviously show you both weapons that you would lose in this particular case, and then it's up to you to kind of like select the right one, swap out the one you want. It's a pretty intuitive system, but it's kind of like a little bit handicapped by just the slot sizes that we have in the game. Yeah. So you can't just like equip like 2 long weapons, because obviously that would be a problem from the balancing side.
Contraband weapons basically mean cannot sell them. So any hunter that you go out and you kill, let's say for example you go into a game with a Winfield, you kill a hunter who's got an Aftermat, you exchange your weapon for that Aftermat and then you extract. You cannot sell that Aftermat and make money. That is what the contraband system is. So maybe in the future, when they have the crafting system in the game, you'll be able to use those contraband weapons to break down stuff and into crafting materials. But otherwise, you will not be able to sell those weapons. You can get rid of them if you want to, but you cannot sell them. So general updates. They made a big pass to the Hell Hound. So Hell Hounds now, their pathing and movement's going to be smarter. They're going to act more intelligent. They're going to be able to dodge melee attacks now. And they cause bleeding damage. Their overall damage has been reduced, but they will cause bleeding damage, and they're going to swarm and group up onto you a little bit more.
I know that a lot of people still are like, where is going to be the anti-headshot stuff? That's not in this.
Yes.
This is going to be animation of the hounds, as well as the way they react. So you see them jumping back, or you hit them and they fall on the floor and they actually have to get up. And you can also dodge them. I tried it in a few videos. It was pretty hard for me, but then you'll see them run past you, and also then will recover and return.
I think if
rebalance the damage the Hellhounds take as well. So long bullets can one-shot headshot them at any range pretty much, with the exception of the uppercut, because the uppercut is pistol. It's made to be more of a close-up weapon. One headshot with medium bullets up until long range, and one headshot with compact bullets at short range. Body shots to the Hellhounds do more damage. Melee vulnerability pass. They did a big melee update. They're separating the melee damage in this so that the various melee damage types are going to have more of a balance. Some things are going to be weaker to certain melee types, while some things are going to be stronger versus other melee. Armoreds are now weak to stab damage, resistant to slash damage. Blunt damage stays normal. Knife and machete have similar effectiveness. Grunts and hives don't have any kind of weaknesses or resistance. They can be killed with one heavy attack to the head by dedicated melee weapons. So, like the machete or the cavalry saber. Hellhounds, weak to melee damage in general. Meatheads, weak to slash damage, resistant to blunt damage, slightly resistant to stab damage. Water devils, resistant to melee damage in general. Butcher, weak to slashing damage, resistant to blunt damage, slightly resistant to stab damage. Spider, weak to blunt damage and slash damage types. Stab damage stays normal. More details can be found in the gunplay section. So, what sounds like the machete is still going to be overall the best weapon to use against the bosses and potentially the meatheads, because that does slashing damage. And the sledgehammer and axes that you find around the map will still be good against Spider as well. But it sounds like against the bosses in general, the machete still might be the best weapon to use against them, if you want to melee them. Audio. So they've done some attenuation changes. Here, I'll just read. The goal is to clean up the soundscape of the compounds to make it easier to identify different sound sources, like the AI cast or an animal trap. While doing this, we improved the attenuation to make sounds behave more consistent and realistic over distance. So they're trying to make the sounds you're trying to make it so that you can differentiate between the sounds better and give the sounds more depth, so you can tell whether it's coming from further away or closer up. Gunplay. So this is where a lot of the big changes are to the melee in this. Improved dynamite. Waterproof dynamite now has separate aim helpers for ground and water damage ranges. Improved fuse audio for explosives. Lighting up the fuse and sizzle are better audible now. So I wonder if that's going to fix the silent grenade issue. World melee items, like the axe and sledgehammer, haven't been untouched. This, like I said, blunt slash and stab type melee weapons now are separated from each other. Dusters can kill a grunt with a single heavy attack to the head. Knife kills the grunts with a single heavy stab attack to the head or the chest, but regular attacks require 2 hits. Throwing knives do slightly less damage than the knife. The throwing damage has not been changed. So the stabbing animation with the throwing knife does less damage, but the throwing damage has not been touched. Machete can now kill grunts with a regular hit to the head, like it was before. It requires 3 heavy attacks to kill an armored, like it has been, and 4 heavy attacks for a full stamina bar. So with the machete now, 1 light attack will kill a grunt if you hit him in the head. Still takes 3 heavy attacks to kill an armored, and you can do 4 heavy attacks in total before your stamina bar gets drained. Cavalry Saber now requires 2 regular hits to kill the grunt, but can also kill an armored with just 2 heavy stabs, for a total of 4 heavy attacks for a full stamina bar. So Cavalry Saber, not as good against grunts, but better against armoreds. Takes 2 regular attacks to kill a grunt, but 2 heavy attacks to kill an armored. So Stabbing damage, better against armored, not as good against grunts. And still, 4 heavy attacks to drain your stamina bar fully. Bayonets now match cavalry sabers heavy attack damage, so basically any kind of bayonet is basically like you have a cavalry saber attached to your weapon, but it consumes more stamina. You can only do 3 heavy attacks instead of 4. Talon, any kind of weapon that has a talon on it, is basically like having a machete on that weapon, but consumes more stamina. So it does 3 heavy attacks to drain your stamina bar instead of 4, like if you just had the dedicated machete. Romero Hatchet now matches the machete, but consumes more stamina for the attack. Rifle butt stacks. Attack damage is the same against grunts, but has been reduced against other player hunters, now requiring 2 hits to the head to kill. Rifle butt stack attacks consume slightly less stamina. Pistols with attached butt stocks do the same damage as rifle butt stock attacks. Pistol whip attacks slightly reduce damage overall, slightly reduced damage overall, making it less effective against melee, and is best used as a deterrent for AI before switching to a dedicated melee weapon. So any kind of pistol that does not have, like dusters on it, the regular attack with it is not going to do a lot of damage. Basically just using it to stun the AI so you can switch to a different weapon. Spawn off weapon attacks do the same amount of damage as a pistol whip attack. So I'm assuming that means with your fists, like if you have your med kit out and you punch someone, or with the flare gun and you punch someone with your offhand, that does the same damage as if you were pistol whip. Romero Hatchet is identical to the machete with both regular and heavy attacks, but stamina. Adjusted range of melee attacks based on the weapon length. Longer weapons have further reach than shorter weapons. So it sounds like they might have a little bit of a rock, paper, scissors kind of system going in here. So like, for example, this is just what I'm assuming. You have a Mosin with a bayonet on it. Someone's charging at you with a machete. Because you have a longer weapon, you're going to hit him before he's going to be able to hit you. So, and I would assume that's also because the cavalry saber has a stabbing animation with heavy attack. That would be the same way as well. So I would assume that means like bayonet weapons, cavalry saber will beat anyone with a machete. Machete will beat someone with a knife. That kind of a system. Improved hit detection with wood and combat, with wood axe and combat axe melee attack. Wood axe and combat axe melee. Improved hit detection with sledgehammer melee. Melee combat has received a major update and improved internal consistency and better highlight each weapon's strengths and weaknesses, AI and other players. There have been a lot of changes across the entire arsenal and the list of enemies. Please tell us what you think. So, get on the test server and try it out and see what you guys think. Hunters added inertial-based movement to counter 80-80 button spamming. Hunters will no longer be able to perform super erratic movements to avoid getting hit by bullets. The system adds acceleration and deceleration of the core movement and add a more realistic feel.
Yeah.
A comparison between what you currently see on the left side on the live environment. So like rapid turns, like quick movement, make it very hard. And then on the right, you see the same type of button presses, or very close to that, trying to replicate that, but now being a bit more boxed in from the new system, the inertia-based movement. So that allows us to basically, land shots on guys charging you with bayonets, melee weapons of any kind, or, maybe even just the dusters.
Exactly.
So that, and they also changed the jumping system. Jumping will no longer consume stamina, but because of the inertia change to players, you will not have bunny hopping. And they made it so that chaining together jumps will shorten the jumps. Gonna slow down movement speed over time. You can't just sit there and keep jumping. So bunny hopping will not be a thing. And they added a new weapon state when you're jumping in first person. Meta change, the Nagant Brawler is no longer in the game. They have changed it over to Nagant Officer Brawler. So it's the double action variant of the Nagant pistol. That's going to have the dusters on it. The price has been lowered from 35 to 30, so that's going to be a good choice there. Icon consistency pass on the syringes to make them look like Vitilities. They added the free tier 100 recruit in the game now. So it's always going to be a hunter that's in the game that's free to get. It's going to be tier 1. His weapons are going to be contraband, so you can't sell his gear, so you can't just get the free hunter and then sell his gear. But you're always going to be able to get a free hunter with some random starting gear. And they said that you can load them up however you want to. You can get the free hunter, you can add whatever weapons you want to him if you don't load out. Some UI stuff. They've made some adjustments made to the mission selection flow for upcoming quick play game mode. So I thought they said the quick play game mode was going to be in this patch, but I guess not. Either it's not done or they're just holding out for TwitchCon and they just want to show it off at TwitchCon, which is this week. Either way, that should be in the game soon. Performance optimized a handful of expensive game features. Made improvements to the occlusion culling handling when multi-threading should improve main threading slightly on low hardware. New world feature crows on a line. So basically what they've done is they've made crows not just spawn on the ground. They're going to be spawning on fences, on buildings, and other objects in the world. They're not adding more crow spawns in the world. The spawns are going to stay the same, but they're just adding them other placements that they can be on. Crash registers. So they've added crash registers in the game. They want people to kind of explore a little bit more. I don't really know if this is what a big enough incentive to get people to move around and explore the map a little bit more. But throughout the various compounds and buildings, you have a random chance of finding a cash register, and there'll be a random amount of money in these cash registers, similar to the same amounts and chances that you would get off of a dead hunter. So anywhere from like $50 to $500 or $1,000 out of these cash registers. You have the same chances you would if you got it off a dead hunter. They made some map updates. The Chapel of Madonna now has a second entrance and exit on the cemetery side. So you're going to be able to get in and out of there to the boss layer a little bit easier from that side. Graveyard cemetery side. The hunting towers now have some more cover around them. So it might be a little bit more usable if you want to sit in the hunting towers and people down from there. Decluttering some areas in Port Rica, and they added a water depth consistency across the map. So when you just get into the map, or not the map, when you just get into the water, like in a shadow area, you're not just automatically going to be waist deep in. You have to actually move out into the water a little bit further before you get slowed down by the water moving. And then just some bug fixes. Most of these are just some normal things, navigational stuff to bosses and islands and fish. One of the things that I think is kind of interesting, bug fix that could lead to multiple hunter kills being registered in a short amount of time while a player was affected by multiple damage sources at the same time. So I've seen it happen before where you kill someone and their body goes down, they're dead, and then a few seconds later you take damage and you die. So I wonder if that's what that fix is supposed to be. Fix some stuttering issues. Fix the oil pools not showing up on the ground. Fix night missions being too dark sometimes. Fix the stamina consumption issue when chaining heavy attacks. Fix the water devils chasing people that were too far away. Fix an issue where you're inside the water devil and you can't jump. Fix the Steam invite problem where when two people invite each other at the same time, it would just kind of derp out. Wait for someone to, accept when you couldn't accept. Fix an issue, Cloth Thunders on AI was switching between static and cloth too often. Fixed some edges that were too blurry on some objects. Fixed an issue with the butcher where his downstate was interrupted. Fixed some pathing issues with the grunts. And fixed some issues where like the grunts that were pretending to be dead laying on the ground, you couldn't hit them with throwable objects. Fix some UI issues, icon inconsistencies, some animation, other local issues, and a list of known issues. But pretty big patch overall. They've got a lot of balance stuff in here for the melee. The Hell Hound rework, the 80/80 spam fix, the first iteration of that, the first iteration of looting from dead hunters, and the skill-based matchmaking. So it'll be interesting to see, how this patch is going to work out. So again, if you own Hunt Showdown, you can get on the test server. You just got to go to your Steam library and download the test client, and you can hop on there, try out these new changes. Definitely get on there and try them out. Let them know what you think. That's how they balance the game. That's how they make it better for everyone. So thanks for checking out the video, guys. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at JohnMatrix69. If you want to see me stream some Hunt Showdown and some other games, you can feel free to follow me over on Twitch at twitch.tv/JohnMatrix69. If you liked the video, feel free to like and subscribe to the video. Would always appreciate it. And thanks for checking it out, guys. And I'll see you on the next one.